Holy shit.
Sorry. Had to do my makeup and whatnot too.
Oh. Episode 35, I believe, is the big number. It's supposed to be a big number with growth. We're still growing. I don't know how
That'd be
big.
sweet.
You got to define how big growth is, but this is our 35th episode. Before we get started, be sure to check us out at 3starrecruits.com for all the blogs, sports betting advice, DraftKings advice. DraftKings is unbelievably hot right now. I had a conversation with Mike yesterday. My man had to fill out a W-9 with DraftKings. So play DraftKings. Yeah. Go follow him on Twitter, Obey_Breezy. He'll post all his blogs there. Check out the other daily podcast, DFS Units, for our daily picks. Sunday mornings, that'll have your DraftKings and the NFL picks for the week. So let's get into this podcast. Adam, did you post your blog?
It is posted.
Okay.
A little recap of the Brave season. My feelings.
Are they hurt?
It was a sad couple of days. It was like a four-day stretch, dude. 4-day stretch.
Painful.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Hey, I can sympathize with you. I went through it a few years ago.
It was bad. But I was hoping the Bills would give me a boost on Monday, but clearly that didn't happen either. So.
Did you see they released Quentin Spain today?
Yeah. I mean, he's been hurt, so it doesn't surprise me.
He's been hurt. Has he been starting?
Oh, I'm thinking of the other guy, sorry.
You thinking of Feliciano?
Yeah.
I'm assuming Feliciano's coming back now if he got rid of Spain, but I think with all the moves they could make, releasing a lineman's not really top of the list.
I don't know if he's played. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if he's played the last couple of games.
They said he's played like 20 straight games in the last 2 years, or played 20 games in the last 2 seasons. Yeah. I'm not sure it's I don't know. There's other moves there the Bills could have made. I mean, Josh looked flat again. He just looked disinterested. He needs to get remotivated somehow. And maybe this week's the perfect week to do it, playing the Jets. You know, the Jets are an absolute dumpster fire. Like,
I can't wait.
Oh my God. Did we talk about last week how I heard that they are trying to tank to go 0-16?
Yeah. Well, but now there's a new rumor out. There's rumors that if the Jets win the first overall pick, Lawrence is going back to Clemson for another year.
Really?
Yeah. He's been told by a couple of people that if the Jets, that franchise is so bad right now, that if the Jets win that first pick, go back to school for another year.
That's a good move. Eli meanie. Yeah. Pull the Eli. If you don't draft me, I'm not showing up.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting if that does happen. Of course, I don't know how you turn down that much money, but.
So here's the thing, though. What if because I don't think quarterback's the issue in New York. I think Darnold is good enough. He could be developed. They just don't have people around him. So do you know what happens? Like say that happens and they say, oh, you gotta, we're going to draft you. And he says, well, I'm just not going to sign the contract. I'm not showing up. Like, do we know what happens there? Like, can he just go back in the draft next year?
I don't think so, because I think when you get drafted, I think that contract is guaranteed with that team.
Do they own the rights to you for so long? Like, is it like baseball?
So I don't know how it works in football. Like baseball, you can get drafted after high school, but then if you don't want to sign with that team, you can go to college. But then you can't get drafted until after your junior year. I have no idea how it works in football.
Yeah, that's something I'm probably gonna have to look up. We'll make a note of that to figure that out. Trevor Lawrence scheduling for a haircut. And who is he signing with? Yeah, because I heard that Darnold, I read today that the Jets are just dumpster fire. Get rid of Le'Veon Bell. Adam Gase is still there. And then I heard that they could just start getting rid of a lot of people. Like they're just going to start dumpster fire. Who wants it? You can have him. And I heard Darnold's not going to go during the season, but there's a really good chance like after the season he gets traded off somewhere.
It'll be interesting even if they try to trade him, because obviously he's still got. Well, we think he's got talent. We don't. We haven't seen it. We don't know. But it'll be interesting if they do trade him, what they can even get for him now.
Who would need him right now, or who would need him in general, even if it's the end of the season?
Washington.
Well, yeah, I guess anyone in NFC East could probably take him at this point.
Your boys in Detroit might want him.
Not until Matt Stafford can't walk into the stadium. They're gonna just take him as long as they can. They think he's a Jedi or something.
I don't know. That's a good question, Adam.
Depends on what that asking price is, right?
Right.
I mean, if the asking price is driven down and it's not much, then some random team would take a flyer on him as a backup or something. But
yeah, I'm trying to think who would. What about the Giants? If they move on from Danny Jones and take Darnold, and
yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like you're running the same issue there as you doing. I think the franchise is in a much better spot with the Giants, but I think you run into the same issues with weapons. Obviously, you get Barkley if he stays healthy, but
Slayton has turned into a gem.
Yeah.
Golden Tate, who's been a pretty steady in the league for a few years. Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head who can want him. I mean, speaking of quarterbacks, Tua getting the call. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read up on this or hear about Fitzpatrick's response to this, but apparently he did a call today with the media, and everyone assumed that Fitzpatrick was like going to be very welcoming, like take the kid under my wing, and he's pretty upset about this move right now. And I mean, my personal opinion is I knew it was going to happen. It could happen this year, most likely, but I definitely didn't see it happening like right now. I mean, they're not playing that bad. They're still in the race. They're doing better than the Patriots, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting second in the AFC East.
Correct.
The only thing I can think of, and I know there's been a lot tossed around, is have they gotten calls for him?
For Fitzpatrick?
Yeah. They thought potentially Dallas and Washington could have called on him because the NFC East is so wide open. I mean, if you put Fitzpatrick on Dallas, how much better is that team?
He's going to sling it.
Yeah, and to me, he's a much better option than Dalton.
You're probably right. I think Dalton's not a bad quarterback. He didn't have weapons in Cincy, but how long do you sit on the bench and you just basically rust away? You're not. It's almost like a fighter in like ring rust. Like if you're not out there doing it, but you do it in practice, like they're two different things in the NFL.
Yeah, the field presence would be gone for sure, or at least would take some games to rub off.
Right. So I don't hate that. I mean, they talked about him going to Washington as well, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, right. That NFC East is so wide open that you could make any move. And I mean, if Dallas doesn't make a move at quarterback, I don't think that division's any question now.
Right. So, speaking of NFC East, we can chatter about it. I actually have did some analysis today in my handy dandy notebook. I try to predict where this division could possibly go because I joked last week or with somebody and said somebody sub 500 could win that division, and it could be really sub 500. And I did some just trying to predict like where they're at now and who they play. They still have a lot of divisional games left. The Eagles play the Giants 2 out of the next 3 weeks. Well, they have a bye week in between there. So right now I have the Eagles winning the division. It's 6-9-1, Cowboys 5-11, Giants 2-14, Washington 1-16. I'm not saying these predictions are going to be right, but I really think that somebody still sub 500 is going to win that division. That's even if maybe the Cowboys and Eagles split somewhere in there, or the Giants pull one off against the Cowboys. I don't know, but I still think somebody 8-8's not going to win that. It would win that division, but it might win it by like 2 games.
I would think at least probably by the time this all shapes up. Yeah.
Yeah. So By the way, Eagles, Giants tomorrow night. Eagles -4.5. If Slayton's out, take the Eagles.
I think even with them in, take the Eagles.
Eagles are still hurt. No, no. Miles Sanders missing offensive lineman.
Yeah, they look decent against Baltimore though, so they've still got hope at least.
The other quarterback I want to talk about is Cam Newton, because there was no games on TV here except for Cam Newton and the Broncos Sunday. I don't know if you guys watched it. I watched it. Cam Newton sucks. I'm just going to say it. And not because he's on the Patriots. I'm just tired of like the media just blowing this guy. Max Kellerman this week said the only team in the AFC that's going to beat Kansas City is the Patriots. Swear to God.
When?
He said they'll
when
get to
Mahomes, Kelsey, CEH are out.
He said that the Patriots will win the AFC East and they'll beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, or in the playoffs in the AFC if they ever meet. I don't know if you guys watched the game. There's no way they couldn't.
No, they look terrible. And the Broncos defense is, I don't know. I'm guessing they're middle of the road this year.
They are middle of the road.
So I don't see anything. I don't know.
We're talking about Max Kellerman.
I think they'll potentially give the Bills a run if the Bills don't turn anything around, but there's no chance they can beat the Chiefs. I don't think.
No. The other developing story tonight is Seahawks are looking at Antonio Brown, that he would be eligible to come back after week 8.
Why would they want him? I mean, I know obviously why they would want him, but why would you want to associate yourself with him at this point?
Right.
And I think Russ, you mentioned him last week, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember how we got on the topic of him, but yeah, I think he's, I don't know. I'm not a fan of him. He's kind of proven to be a bit of a cancer wherever he goes, right?
There's
Couldn't
just too
stick in
many
New England
to put up with that kind of behavior.
Yeah. And who'd he sign with last year and then didn't even play for him?
Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hell of an athlete, hell of a receiver, but talk about red flags, man. I don't know. I don't know why you take that risk.
I mean, the guy got traded to the Bills, supposedly refused to go there, and then he got frostbite in Las Vegas or in California in a cryo machine.
Yeah.
Didn't want to play in Buffalo.
Is Seattle hurting for receivers? Is somebody hurt out there? Or?
That's a great question. When I read this, I was like, why? You got a good thing going in Seattle right now.
Yeah. Metcalf's shown to be a number one, and I don't know their depth chart beyond that, but unless they have like 3 injuries I don't know about.
Lockett's been playing well. David Moore's a okay third. He's not anything special.
Right. I don't know. Me personally, I would stay away from him, but
yeah, I wouldn't want him in the locker room.
No.
We kind of had a conversation about Bell. I don't know if on the episode or off the episode, but how he could be a potential distraction coming into a locker room. To me, Antonio Brown is far worse than Bell.
What do you guys think about Bell going to the Chiefs?
I don't think the Chiefs really needed him. I think it's going to be interesting with that Edwards-Helaire has proven to be a pretty good steal at the end of the first round for them. He looks like a stud. And does that change the dynamic if you stop giving him the ball as frequently? From the Chiefs' perspective, I don't think they needed Bell, but I guess from Bell's standpoint, he sees it as an opportunity to win. So I guess I don't blame Bell for going there, but if you're the Chiefs, if you're a fan of the Chiefs, you got to hope it doesn't screw up their chemistry.
I see where you're going. Definitely. I listened to the game on the radio instead of watching it on TV, and it was like every other sentence it seemed like that Edwards-Helaire guy was. So why would you?
Yeah,
I know it's nice to have assets, but yeah, you're right. Do you want to mess with the formula if it's working?
Yeah. And maybe they've told Bell, hey, you're not going to get the ball all that much, and it's kind of an injury insurance, if you will, if Edwards-Helaire were to get hurt or something. But I don't know. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I still view Edwards-Helaire as my number one back.
Agreed.
Oh yeah.
I would
I
too.
still obviously, and they've got a good 1-2 combination with Helaire and Damian Williams. So I don't know why.
Yeah. They basically got him on the cheap, right? Aren't the Jets still on the hook for most or all of his money?
So here's what I learned. What day did he get signed? What, Thursday? Friday? Somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So here's what I learned. This is a former GM of the Packers. He basically explained it. So you can't double dip in the NFL. Like if you are on a contract and you have guaranteed money that year and you get released like he did and you go someplace else, you can't get paid a separate salary from them. So he gets the guarantee from the Jets, who are still on the hook for, I think it's like let's call it $6 million. So him signing somewhere, it wasn't about the money, they said. Because what happens is it doesn't matter who offers the most money, the money goes to the Jets. So if you sign him unless you sign him longer than a year and somehow structure a bonus in there, anything you pay him this year basically kicks back to the Jets because they're on the hook for what his salary is. And I'm sure there's some wonky math in there somewhere, but the bottom line is you can't double dip. You can't take that $6 million from the Jets. The Chiefs are say, hey, we're going to give you $3 million to finish the year. Otherwise, that $3 million's got to go to New York. Gotcha. And I think they got him for just over just over $1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they gave him, I don't know if there's some loophole where they could give him a signing bonus for this year. I don't know how that works, but the way I understood it when he was explaining it was anything within this year, you can't double dip. So it's got to go to the Jets because he's already going to get paid. And then if you want to sign him long-term, then you can throw in a signing bonus and give him more money. But for this year, you're kind of locked in at that money. I don't know if it's for salary cap or whatever they do. Or I don't know. Like I said, weird math in there somewhere.
So you're saying that because they signed him for, we'll say $1 million, whatever it was. So the Jets still have to pay him the $6 million or whatever he's owed.
They're on the hook for, so if he gets, and again, I don't know if like it's $6 million, well, like for figures, let's say he was on the hook for $6 million. Chiefs say we'll give you $1 million. I don't know if there's actual exchange of money there between teams, but if they say we're going to give you this much money, the Jets only have to pay the difference.
Okay.
He can't double dip. He can't get 6 plus whatever the Chiefs want to give him.
Okay. I didn't know if you meant like the Jets would give Bell $6 million, but then the Chiefs would have to pay. I guess it wouldn't matter either way. Then the Chiefs would have to pay the Jets $1 million.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess either way, the math will come out right.
Right.
Like
yeah.
if they cut him a check when he walks out the door and say, "Hey, here's what we owe you, get the fuck out," type of thing, and then they get some kickback by whoever signs him. I don't know.
Right.
But it's good to know you can't double dip, greedy bastards.
I was trying
they're not getting paid enough.
Yeah. I was curious about the Trevor Lawrence situation. I'm trying to search. There's some forum. Somebody basically said you can't. If the Jets were to draft him, they were using the Joey Bosa example from a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
because he didn't sign right away. Basically saying if you refuse to sign, you can't play in the NFL that year, but you would be eligible to re-enter the following year's draft. Which seems like a quick turnaround to me. So basically, Lawrence could. That's basically the equivalent of. I guess if the Jets get number one, he could just not declare. Because if you hire an agent and then get drafted, you couldn't go back because you hired the agent, right?
They've been changing those rules.
Yeah, I don't know if is it for the NFL too? I know the NBA did it.
The NBA changed, and I thought the NFL did something, but maybe not. I don't know.
You can declare as long as you don't sign an agent, right? But the moment you sign with an agent, you can't go back to school.
Yeah,
right.
So you could declare not sign an agent, and then you could decide to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Lawrence, so do you, let's say that happens, do you go back to Clemson and play and risk getting hurt? Or do you just kind of work out and get in shape?
I would think as skilled as he is, as long as it wasn't a career-ending injury, if he went back to Clemson and got hurt, he would still get drafted by somebody. You know, unless it was like an Alex Smith type situation, type of leg break, and you didn't know if he'd be back for three years or something. But if it's a minor injury, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if he went back and got hurt in game 3 or something and missed the rest of the Clemson season, I don't think that would hurt his draft stock drastically, if at all, to be honest with you.
I think it's important for him to keep playing because, like we were just talking about with field presence, are you going to just take a whole year off of playing instead of getting that experience there?
Yeah, I would almost – exactly, to a good point. I would think sitting out a year might hurt your draft stock worse than playing 8 games and then suffering an injury.
Yeah, just keep showing up, basically.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're talking about college football because Kyle sent me something that wound up being really funny. Did you see the Duke quarterback sacking himself? He breaks out, runs into his own player.
All right, I was not a degenerate, but I may have bet the over in that game, even though I never watched Duke football. I did it purely on stats, okay? So don't judge me. So I'm watching the Duke game, hoping for the over, and the Duke quarterback drops back. And then he tries to take off, and he marks Sanchez's it right into the center's ass. But he hangs onto the ball.
Say if he hung on the ball, it's better.
But he what almost as bad as a fumble is he runs into the center's ass, and then he gets like hurt. He gets up, he's like holding his shoulder. I'm like, did you really just get hurt? You just ran into your own center.
Well, the
so
funny
I texted
thing is,
Taylor, and I'm like, I think I might have a dud for the week for you.
Well, the funny thing is, he didn't hurt his shoulder; he hurt his leg.
Oh my God.
But maybe the team will make hay now that they have a new quarterback on the field after their dismal 1-5 start for the season. But on a positive note for Duke, their defensive end, Victor Dumakage, I don't know how you even say his last name. He's about to break the sack record for Duke. It's currently at 22, and he's at 19 and a half.
For season or career?
Career.
He's got some games left, and it's possible that he can break that record. So maybe some positivity to come.
Duke's one of those schools.
They're going to have to have good defense if they're going to win any games now.
Duke's one of those schools where they dominate basketball so much that I just assume they suck at every other sport. Like when you said the career sack record at Duke, I was like, what is that, like 3?
Yeah, it's a golf program. Women's.
They've got a couple. We got basketball, lacrosse, golf. That's about it.
If we're going to pick out one college player on a team and say something negative, we might as well bring it back with something that's a little positive. It's not even getting paid.
I mean, Russ has got a point, though. A lot of schools
that you know of.
North Carolina is one of them. But North Carolina's turned into a football school because of Mac Brown.
Yeah.
Who came out of, he was at Texas at one point. But
I mean, Duke's had a couple of good years recently, so.
Yeah, Danny Jones, baby.
That's right.
Danny Dimes.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right. Any more football, or can we move on?
We can move on.
I want to say one thing. Well, one thing. Sorry, because it's been talked about a lot. But the Bills giving up, I don't know what it was, 275 yards of rushing.
It's stupid.
So everybody's complaining about that, and obviously the game plan was to shut Mahomes down passing, which they did. They got ran over, but again, everyone's like, what? Why not adjust? Because as soon as you adjust to stop that run, Mahomes is throwing for 400 yards. I feel like that's a tough situation with KC defending that, because as soon as you start stacking the box, I feel like they're going deep on you.
Yeah. I noticed Buffalo didn't really stack the box this week.
Yeah.
But they still, I feel like their line doesn't try to like create that pocket. You know what I mean? Where if you force Mahomes up the middle, you have a linebacker maybe waiting for him. Or if he goes, but I felt like there was too much space on the edges for those guys, even the running backs run too. Thanks for bringing this up, because I do want your guys' opinion on something. The Mahomes run, this was game changing. The Mahomes run and scramble that he looked like he was going to go out of bounds. And then he pulled up and then he dove forward like 3 yards. So instead of it being like 4th and 3, it was like 4th and 1, 4th and inches. I like Mahomes, but me personally feel like that dude needs to get lit up once or twice to learn his lesson. And I never thought about it until he did it, but it opened my eyes to something. We have all these rules that protect quarterbacks in the NFL. You have rules that, to protect players in general. That guy literally gave himself up, and he basically worked the system and worked the rule. He gave himself up, and I felt like the defenders let up because they're like, oh, he's going to run out of bounds. They're not going to keep going at him and tackle him or hit him because you're going to draw a flag. So the mindset is, okay, he runs out of bounds. We got 4th down. But then he pulls up, guys let up, and then all of a sudden he goes again and just takes off or, dives for a couple of yards. I don't know what your guys' opinion on it is, but it was eye-opening to me. Not just because it was the Bills. I just think that there needs to be maybe a rule or a judgment by the official to blow that play dead, be like, he gave himself up. And because same thing, it's a safety concern.
Like once he shows intent to go out of bounds. But how do you determine intent at that point?
It's still right. But if you watch the play, he completely stopped. Like he was going to go out of bounds, kind of tucked it and moved sideways. And then when the play started to slow down, he took off again and he dove for 2 yards. I feel like it goes back to the safety thing where if a player is going to do that and they get hit, but now these defensive players saw him do that last week. What if one of those guys says, all right, I'm just going to keep going until you're out of bounds, pal. And he gets smoked. And then they're saying, well, you can't do that. It's Mahomes. It's our golden boy. But I feel like he's put that out there now where guys saw that last week and they're going to be like, there it is, boys. He's going to pull shit like that. Just hit him. Just hit him. And I don't mean that in a malicious way to Mahomes, but I feel like it was a good play, but at the same time, it was kind of cheap and cheesy to kind of play the rules where they protect you and he knows they're not going to hit him there.
Yeah, you got to squash it before it gets egregious because it's just going to get worse and worse if you don't.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that my conversation that was in my other group message that night, but that's why the first thing I said as soon as I saw it was that was cheap because, again, I think Edmonds whiffed on the tackle anyways, but if he doesn't let up and he hits him when he's headed out of bounds, they're throwing a flag on him, which then obviously we saw a couple other penalties after. And I don't remember, I tried to find it, I couldn't find it. I think a couple of years ago, a quarterback, I thought it was Andrew Luck, but I couldn't find it, acted like he was going to slide and the defenders let up and then he took off for an extra 5 to 10 yards. And then they just said, yep, that was fine. But it was like he was literally getting ready to slide and he saw guys let up, so he took off again.
Yeah.
It's like how much it's so difficult.
To me, the slide situation sounds like it'd be cheaper than the out of bounds situation.
Yeah, it is.
I'm kind of on the fence with this one because you're right. We saw the Bills take 2 penalties for late hits out of bounds, but
after he did that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I completely get what you guys are saying, but on the other side, it's like, I don't know, we always preach, play to the whistle, and it's tough. It's a tough call. I don't know. Not real sure what way I feel about that, to be honest.
I definitely think he's opened the door for, guys moving forward, whether it be the rest of this year or next. Anyway, moving forward, that play is going to be ingrained in the defense's head. So I feel like he's opened that door now where he's going to start running out of bounds, and you might see him take a shot or two because they're like, "Oh, I saw what you did last week. You're not doing that again this week." So
I think I would feel like it was real cheap if he already had the first down and was going to go out of bounds and then pulled that to get another 10 yards. But in that scenario, as a defender, you've got to know, hey, he's still 3 yards short of the first down line. I don't know, that probably doesn't make 100% sense, but just different scenario.
Right.
I don't know. It's a tough call. I kind of see both sides of that one.
Right. All right. Let's move on to UFC. The Fight Island action. I'm rubbing my nipples. Anyway, Some good fights this week. We got Khabib fighting Gaethje.
Robert Whitaker.
Whitaker is fighting Cannonier. And I don't know who he's fighting. I like the guy that Tai Tuivasa, the new guy from like New Zealand or Australia that does the shoeies after he wins. That's why I like to watch him win, because he does the beer and the shoe chug.
Can you repeat that in English?
I don't know how to pronounce. It's Tai Tuivasa.
And he does shoeies. Shoeies.
You've never seen this?
I'm confused at the moment.
So
do you know what he's talking about, Adam?
No. Well, I understand he's drinking beer out of a shoe. That's about all I'm getting out of this.
It's like German beer, how it comes in a glass boot, but out of a real.
Tai Tuivasa. He's from New Zealand.
Okay.
So he's a heavyweight. If he wins, he would leave he can't do this now because there's no fans, but he would leave the octagon, take a fan shoe, and apparently it's some sort of tradition. Look this up. I'm not crazy.
Wait, what kind of shoe?
Doesn't matter.
A tennis fan.
Like a fan shoe.
Like a fan shoe. Okay.
Yes. Okay. You spit in the shoe, pour the beer in the shoe, chug the beer out of the shoe.
That sounds healthy.
That's how the coronavirus started. Just figured it out. That's disgusting.
I didn't say it was healthy, and I didn't say it was enjoyable.
I get that.
Does
he spit, or does the fan spit in the shoe?
No, he does. So listen, go watch the latest embedded video that's on YouTube. He does it with he shows people how to do it. But
what's this guy's name?
Tai Tuivasa.
Is he on the prelims or what? I'm not.
He must be on prelim. Yeah, I don't see his name at all. That's why I'm looking.
He's fighting this weekend?
Yeah, he's the main event on the prelims. He's fighting Stefan Struve, the guy that's like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's tall.
Got Volkov and Walt Harris. That could be a decent fight. It's not a bad card.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Except it's in the afternoon.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 2 p.m. start.
Of course, you've got all the prelims and all the mains. So by the time it gets to Khabib, it's still going to be 10 o'clock at night.
No. I think the pay-per-view starts at 2.
So I think it's a 2 o'clock start.
Yeah.
Oh, for the actual.
Yeah, the main card starts at 2.
God, the early prelims must be on really early then.
Yeah, but
no, they're scheduled. The early prelims start at 11. They're going to be so far behind schedule.
So I'm guessing
there's only 2 early prelims though, so it don't matter.
I'm guessing the reason they're going this early, because normally they just fight in the morning, and the card is at night here.
This is the first Fight Island card where they've switched up the time like this.
I assume it's because of the Khabib, right?
That's my guess. You got to cater to Pretty Boy.
That's where you're gonna get. You're gonna get a lot of viewers from there, so makes sense.
So we'll start with Khabib, and I want your predictions. I think Gaethje wins this fight. I think this is the fight that Khabib loses. I can't wait to hear Taylor's reasoning. I love this. This is
I just loved your intro there. We'll start with Khabib. Gaethje wins.
Yeah.
Great Khabib analysis.
Yeah. I went back today and I watched his fight versus Poirier. I watched his fight against Michael Johnson. So here's the thing with Khabib. His last 5 fights, he fought Poirier for the belt. He hasn't fought since September last year. So Poirier, McGregor, AI Quinta, who took him to decision on short notice, Edson Barbosa, and Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson, striker, was only a junior college wrestler. Barbosa, striker. Iaquinta, striker. Iaquinta did wrestle at Nassau Community College, but he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Connor, we all know, pure striker. Connor has actually only 1 win by submission. It was in 2012 by a guy. He submitted a guy named Dave Hill. Ever heard of him? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, he's my neighbor.
And then Poirier, who is a well-known boxer, he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. This is the fight I think he's going to struggle with. So I went back and watched the other 2 fights. I really thought Poirier had a good chance of beating him, and he almost did. He did have him in a chokehold in the third round, and he was really sweating. Somehow he got out of it. Khabib has never fought true wrestlers. He usually fights strikers. That's just what he does. I really thought with his grappling, he'd get in trouble with a guy who's a jiu-jitsu person. My personal opinion is the difference between jiu-jitsu and wrestling is wrestling's more of a grappling, where jiu-jitsu is more technical and you're already on the ground. And wrestlers have that skill to defend from takedowns probably a little better than jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of guys in jiu-jitsu who prefer they'd rather be on the ground on their back, honestly. They're like, yeah, I prefer it. I can submit people from my back. I think he's going to struggle with the strength. Guys who were having success for him in fights, Poirier was, Michael Johnson actually was, believe it or not, and Iaquinta, who was probably the best wrestler he's fought, he struggled to take them down. He's got terrible stand-up and striking. And we know that Gaethje hits like a truck. But here's where I think is going to be the difficult part for Khabib. Justin Gaethje has some of the most violent leg kicks of anybody in UFC. It might be better than Jose Aldo. I don't know if you guys want to agree or disagree with that, but I think he struggles to take Gaethje down. And when he does, he's going to have to stand. And I think there's enough film out there now on Khabib to know how his fighting style. He wants you to get close so he can shoot for the double leg. And I just feel like Gaethje's a lot bigger than Khabib. So I think that might play a problem. I just feel like Gaethje's going to have the advantage here. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's probably going to go through at least 4 rounds. But I think Gaethje's probably the best option to beat him outside of Poirier. And Poirier has predicted that Gaethje wins this fight. Khabib does not have a good chin, and his boxing skills when he is standing up they're terrible. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to it. His mechanics to get out of a strike is terrible. He looks like a 12-year-old fighting in the lunchroom when he gets hit in the face, and that's why he goes for the double leg. So I like Gaethje in this fight because I want to see Khabib lose. Because if Khabib wins this fight, you're not going to see Khabib for a really long time. Khabib's going to sit on the sidelines. He doesn't want to fight Conor. He doesn't want to fight Poirier. So he's going to sit there forever. The only fight he wants, which we can talk about after you guys give your predictions, is he wants to fight GSP. So hit me with your predictions.
You want me to get my predictions quick. Gaethje isn't a bear, so I'm going to say Khabib in 4.
Adam's UFC analysis is like me talking about college basketball.
That's all I got. I'll be back.
Taylor, just freeze.
No, I was just confused what was going on with Adam there.
Adam left and Taylor froze for a second. Go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, what's going on here? I think it goes to Khabib. You touched on a lot of points that I was going to bring up, a lot being the difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu. We know Gaethje's a great wrestler. Obviously, you don't wrestle Division I if you're not a great wrestler. We've seen Khabib beat strikers before, and I think that's the way this is going to shape up. It's going to be grappler versus a lot of striking. I don't think we're going to see Gaethje wanting to take it to the ground because, like you said, he's a wrestler. He's not going to like being on his back. I've seen it firsthand that when you go and you take a person that's new to jiu-jitsu and they say, well, I wrestled in college. And then you've got 2 stripe white belts that are putting them on their back. And then once they're on their back, they don't know what to do because in wrestling, once you're on your back, it's over. I think we see a slow, drawn-out fight. And then once they're tired, I think Khabib just wraps them up. I don't think it's going to be an exciting fight. I think it's going to be a technical, slow fight that goes 4 or even all the way. Maybe we see a submission, but I think it goes a long way and it's a slow-paced fight.
Just to throw it in there, Khabib's not a jiu-jitsu guy. He's just pure grappling. He has submissions, but his go-to submission is just a choke because he is mainly just a grappler. I don't think that's been his go-to. His move is to get his legs under your legs to keep him elevated. It's more of a grappling. It's not real technical as far as like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. He uses grappling to set up his ground and pound, which may be some of the best the UFC's seen, in my opinion. I think there's a little bit of your analysis of Khabib is a little bit like Adesanya, where you really hate the guy. And I don't think you'll ever give him credit.
Oh, he's a good striker. He's an asshole, but he's a good striker.
I think what's really important he brought up was the leg kicks from Gaethje, though. I think that's going to end up playing like I said, if it's going to be a long, drawn-out fight, how many strikes are we going to see to the legs when they stand up? A lot. Where it's going to really – I think that might end up playing to your favor, but you're 28-0, you're Khabib. I don't think this is the one.
Yeah. I think Gaethje proves to be the toughest test he's seen yet. I definitely agree with that. I'm a huge fan of Gaethje. I would like to see Gaethje win. I think a lot of what you said about Gaethje's striking ability against Khabib, who was not a striker, we've kind of heard that was everybody's argument when Conor went to fight Khabib, and then that fight did not go well for Conor. I don't know. I feel like Khabib is one of those guys where we always think the matchup is not in his favor, and then he goes out and finds a way to do something crazy and win the fight. And yes, if it's on the feet for majority of the fight, it's definitely an advantage for Gaethje. I think if it goes to the ground, I think he's the best on the ground we've maybe ever seen in the UFC.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, I know Gaethje's 22-2, which is a hell of a record. Khabib's 28-0, and it's tough to argue against that. I until Khabib loses, I'm going to take him. I think he finds a way to win the fight, and I say that as a fan of Gaethje.
Right.
As far as what happens after this fight, I don't know. I think at some point you get to 28-0. If he wins this, he's 29-0. You kind of get into that John Jones scenario of what else do I have to prove right now?
You go up.
And while GSP has, he's retired basically, but I think that has a lot of the greatest ever versus greatest ever kind of feel to it. And my guess is he's trying to do something like that. Whether or not that's the best fight for him, no, it's probably not. But
right.
I think that's the reasoning behind it.
So the reason that the whole GSP thing doesn't sit well with me is, just for the record, I don't really dislike Khabib. I'm not a big fan of the guy who he wins the belt and just sits on the sidelines. Like, he doesn't like to fight. He finds, he's pulled out of fights. Ramadan, not fighting for that, even though other fighters who go through that do fight, but he always uses a reason not to fight. Not knocking someone's religion. I'm just saying he's used it as a reason not to fight, where other guys that are also doing it still fight.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with the GSP thing is, I looked at the GSP is going to be 40 years old in May. If he wins this fight, by the time they actually get around to fighting, GSP would probably be 40 years old. This is, to me, is like Tyson saying, "Oh, I want to fight Ali for my legacy." Like, I get you like that matchup of GSP because of the legacy, because that's what he keeps talking about. It's my legacy. It's my legacy. But if you're going to carry that belt, eventually Dana's going to be like, "I'm not doing this. I'm not holding up the division," especially for the division that's been very congested for a really long time. We've already seen Dana kind of say, "I'm not holding up the division," when Khabib didn't fight Tony back in, what was it, May
4th.
Yeah. And I think that wasn't really Khabib's fault. There was a lot of the COVID stuff going on. They had told Khabib, "You're not going to fight in the U.S. We're going to fight in Abu Dhabi." He moved to Abu Dhabi. It didn't happen there. He went back to Russia. And then when they finally told him, like, "Oh, you can fight in Jacksonville," he couldn't get out of the country. So that was not his fault for pulling out. The last time GSP fought was November of 2017. He fought Bisping. And his last fight before that was 2013, which actually in my book still is a loss to Johnny Hendricks. He got his absolute ass kicked. And for whatever reason, I don't know if do you remember that fight, Russ?
Not really.
Yeah. You could probably look that one up now. It's been long enough, but So I don't understand the whole legacy talk. Like I just don't. Like, your legacy is not to fight GSP. If you want to fight GSP 10 years ago when you're in your prime now, love to see it, because that'd be some great grappling. That'd be a great matchup. But a 40-year-old GSP, I thought we saw him slow down against a Bisping who he knocked out, and Bisping was at the end of his career. So that doesn't interest me at all for him to fight GSP. He claims it's for legacy, but at the same time, in the same sentence, he tells ESPN yesterday, oh, it'd be great. It would sell a lot of pay-per-views. So where's your mind really at? You say you don't need the money, but I want to fight for legacy. It sells a lot of pay-per-views, which is money in your pocket. So I understand why he doesn't want to fight Conor. There's just a lot of bullshit that goes on with fighting Conor. And I think that Conor was a terrible, or Khabib was a terrible matchup for Khabib, or for Conor. I knew that Conor was going to lose that fight because the minute he went to the ground, he was done. Conor's ground game is shit. But I feel like if you're going to have the belt, your next fight is not GSP or for your legacy. Either you give up the belt, you move up weight classes like everybody else does. If they say, hey, I'm done here, I've cleaned out the division, or you turn around, you fight the winner of a Poirier and McGregor. That's just my personal opinion. Like, I get it's your legacy, but if you're done here and you don't want to fight those other guys, then vacate the belt, move on to another challenge, either move up or move down in a weight class and see what you can do. Go fight at 170. See what you can do. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't always agree with trying to force a guy to switch weight classes, though.
I'm not saying force him, but I don't know.
But then on the other, right. So on the other hand, like you mentioned, a winner, Poirier, McGregor, I mean, those are his last two fights. He's already beaten both of them.
Yeah.
You know, that might not sound enticing to him to fight these guys he's already beat either.
So I think, which makes a very good point, he has already beat these guys over his last two fights. So in my opinion, even though he's coming off a loss, if Khabib wins this fight, he fights Tony. I would love to see that fight. That's a fight they've been trying to make for years, and somehow, I mean, Tony got hurt, Khabib pulls out. This thing was like 4 times now. This fight's been canceled 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, that's really only the quote unquote contender left in that division to fight.
I say, would he be the next? If Khabib wins, would Ferguson be the next potential matchup?
I don't know who else would be in that division right now that's you want to throw in the ring with Khabib that has proven themselves.
Yeah. So you obviously got Khabib and Gaethje, Conor and Poirier. In my opinion, Ferguson is a step below those guys on the ladder.
Yeah.
But then after Ferguson, there's nobody.
Yeah, I said Dan Hooker is the only other name I see on here. That
actually, you know what? He's coming off a loss too. But remember, before Hooker fought Poirier, everyone said Hooker was the next best thing, and he was going to be the man. Who else is on those? You looking at the rankings?
Yeah, they got Paul Felder.
No.
Diego Ferreira.
No.
L.I. Quinta.
Nope.
Kevin Lee.
Big
that's down to 10 already. So.
No, none of those guys. Yeah, none of those guys. So that's the only thing I can think of is, like, I understand you want to fight for legacy, but GSP is not that fight. Not a 40-year-old GSP. That doesn't make sense to me at all. I don't think it'll make sense to Dana either. And is GSP really going to come back for one fight at 40 years old? I mean,
depends on the money, you guarantee him.
Yeah.
Is there? Go ahead. I got another question off this weekend.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna kind of repeat what I was saying.
Have they mentioned anything else about Usman and Burns fighting again or no?
The rumor is that,
or I shouldn't say fighting again, but fighting since
Burns got COVID, right? He tested positive.
Right.
I believe the next fight Dana has confirmed will be Usman Burns, right? Is that right, Russ? I think that was.
I don't know that, actually.
I thought Dana did say that. I know that
it says it won't happen I just looked it up. It says it's not going to happen.
Usman Burns?
That could be wrong. That's just the top. Yeah. Kamaru Usman, Gilbert.
ESPN article. I don't know. I think Taylor keeps freezing a little
bit. Yeah, his audio.
ESPN article from a couple weeks ago. Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, UFC welterweight title fight is not happening on December 12th. Sources said Monday. Previously reported UFC 256 main event has been postponed because Usman needs more time to recover from undisclosed injuries. So if he's recovering from injuries, I would say they're not going to put a date on that until they're confident he's healthy. So it looks like it's supposed to happen in December, but isn't.
See, that's another guy too that he's a great fighter, is Usman, but he just pisses me off. He's like got the Tyrone Woodley syndrome, like I'm the greatest ever. But then he always seems to find a way to not get in the ring. And it's like, why do you not want to get in the ring? Like, you're a great fighter. You're the champion. You got there for a reason. But he always finds a reason to like, oh, I can't fight. Like Usman talks a lot of shit to guys, but then he's always got a reason not to get in the ring. He put off the Masvidal fight for a long time. And then the only reason he fought Masvidal is because Burns tested positive for COVID and he stepped in.
Yeah. So what do you do about that? I mean, do you force these guys into contracts where you're required to fight twice a year, or if you win the belt, you have to defend it within?
Yeah, I don't know.
8 months.
I don't know. I mean, it clearly depends on like if you have obvious injuries, right? If you can say, yeah, I hurt this, but if you come out of a fight and you broke your hand or there's some obvious injury, you got to have surgery or something. And again, I don't know what's going on in the background, but to me, it seems like a pattern with this guy. Woodley was the same way. I can't fight. I'm hurt. I'm not ready. And I don't understand it. I'm not going to accuse him of dodging. I'm not accusing him of dodging fights, but I think they also know that the longer they hang on to that belt as the quote unquote champion, and if I'm hurt, then I can still make money doing endorsement stuff. I can sell myself as the champion of the division and make money doing that. That's just my just a thought, out loud thought.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, no matter how you feel about it, it's going to be a good fight this weekend. So
yeah. No, I hope I can watch it. I might be in a hospital. She might be in labor right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope you can. Yeah, I kind of hope you can because I'm excited for this process to move along here, Kyle.
Dude, the last week has been just on pins and needles. Like, is this happening or not?
You got your bags packed, ready to go?
I've had a bag in her car for like 3 weeks. So yeah.
And then you won't use it. You'll just wear the same sweatpants and t-shirt the whole time.
I'm going to call Jim Carrey to have him come in and listen to her like Ace Ventura. Just be like, pop it out. But yeah, I don't know. I hope I can watch it. If not, at some point I'll watch it or find a way to watch it. But I think it would be, and it's not because I don't like Khabib. I just feel like Gaethje's probably his toughest matchup. And I almost think it'd be better for that division if Gaethje won, just because he will turn around and fight again, and we'll see these guys get back in the ring and fight.
So if Gaethje wins, you got Khabib coming off 28-0, it'd be 28-1. You could argue that he gets the immediate rematch, right?
Right. But that's where if he doesn't want to fight forever and he just keeps putting it off, and then Dana's going to say, all right, I'm going to give the fight to somebody else.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, if you don't have the belt and you're not willing to fight right away, then, yeah, it gives them much more flexibility to pair up a different fight. But
I hope this
we'll see.
I hope this Poirier McGregor gets signed and makes official.
See, that's another situation where until McGregor is physically in the octagon, I'm not going to believe it.
It's like Marcus on the first tee.
Correct.
Yeah, I hope they do. I know the big thing with Conor is the money. He wants his pay-per-view cuts. He wants his gate tickets, and that's why he's lobbying for him to fight at Cowboy Stadium, because they'll have fans.
Yeah, I was watching the press conference with Dana. I don't know when it was, maybe before last weekend. He said it will not happen at Cowboy Stadium right now because he's not putting only 35,000 fans in that place. He will wait until they can fill the place.
Yeah.
Before they do that.
I don't blame him for that reasoning.
I don't either. Because if he can do it there and fill that stadium,
right?
How many people are you going to shove in that place? What does it hold now?
Holds what, 105, somewhere like that, and you probably put another 10,000 on the floor, maybe.
Yeah, you get the extra floor space.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Which the floor space probably wouldn't be as much as we're envisioning because you couldn't have somebody sitting 50 yards away without having them propped up. But yeah, you could probably easily get another 10,000.
Right.
That would be interesting in there because I've been on that field, and you look up and it's just huge. That like I don't know how even like watching a football game, you can see what's going on from the top of that stadium, let alone a 26-foot diameter octagon.
Yeah, you could probably put bleachers on the field to a degree before you start blocking people out.
Right? That you can't. We got to remember at Dallas at their stadium, you can't put people in the suites in because those suites are on the bottom.
Wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah,
you can't do.
Wouldn't
suites.
be able to do that. Yeah, wouldn't be able to do that anyways.
No.
So. Yeah, and if you can't put too many bleachers because then you're blocking rows in the stands. Obviously, you got the boards, the scoreboards, but
you know what wouldn't surprise me though is if they did sell the suites, because the people who are going to afford those, they don't give a shit about watching the fight. They're there for the atmosphere. They'll just party in their suite and watch it on the TV.
Right.
I mean, that could be a possibility.
Yeah, even those video boards are. I was there actually just about 4 years ago because we were there the night the 2016 election happened, and they actually, while we were on the field doing everything we were doing, they had the election like up on the board. But that thing, it's huge.
Yeah,
it's monstrous. So
that's what she said.
Yeah, she did.
Didn't say to you.
Hey, you, Kyle, you mentioned Marcus. It's got me thinking about golf. Do you think we're about to see an era of Phil Mickelson dominating on the senior tour, or do you think that this will be? What's up?
You were cutting out big time on mine.
Sorry.
I was going to tell you to start over with your question.
Do you think we'll see a new era of Phil Mickelson dominating on the Champions Tour, or do you think that this is a flash in the pan and he'll just fall into order with everybody else? We got back-to-back wins on the two starts, and when you watch him play, it's like it doesn't even seem like they're on the same level. He's hitting it a Walmart past everybody every time, it seems.
So you're asking me if I think he'll dominate on that tour?
Yeah, will we see him look like a Bernhard Langer, or do you think he won't put a lot of time and effort into it? We won't see a lot of stats put up.
I think at this rate, Bernhard Langer is going to be caddying for Phil. Phil's going to kick everybody's ass on that tour.
Yeah, I think if he played on that regularly for the next 5 to 7 years, he could probably win half the events he plays.
Yeah.
I think we'll see that streak continue.
But do you think I don't think we'll see that though, because I think that his ego is too big that he won't start playing in that until he's lost every ounce. I think possibility of winning on the actual.
I don't know. I think he likes it. I think he enjoys it, and he underappreciated and underestimated the talent out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good competition for him, especially depending on course style and course setup if he's trying to get ready for an event.
Yeah.
It's certainly a breath of fresh air to that tour.
Yeah. I think going forward, we could see him 50-50 split his events, play like 12 on the big boy tour and then 12 on the Champions Tour, something like that per year. And like I say, of those dozen on the Champions Tour, I wouldn't be surprised to see him win 6 to 8 of them.
Yeah. I think the only person out there to
both
compete.
Sets of major, right?
Yes. As long as he's qualified.
Yep.
So
I think the only person out there who really give him a consistent run for his money is Furyk, who was what? Didn't Furyk go 2 for 2 in his first 2 events?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think this is going to be it's going to be easy pickings for Phil.
to be honest, it'd actually be kind of exciting if they stayed on the Champions Tour. If you put Furyk and Phil on the PGA Tour regularly, they're probably not really going to compete in more than one event per year, for a legitimate chance of winning. But if you had those two and Freddie Couples and Longer out there, legitimately competing against each other in the Champions Tour, that bumps up the excitement of that tour big time.
Yeah.
So
purses will go up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like Phil out there. The rumor is he's not. So Tiger is going to play in Houston is the rumor right now. Phil doesn't want to play in Houston, possibly, because is it the week before or 2 weeks before Augusta or a week?
I think it's a week before.
no.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to play because I think they're going to have fans, and he doesn't want to be around anybody because he'd rather just play at Augusta. I don't know if he's going to or not, but that was a story I read today.
Yeah, because I know Tiger. I heard in his press conference because he said he's not playing next week, and depends on how he plays this week if he's going to play in Houston or not.
Houston. I mean, we have the Masters coming up in 3 weeks? It's 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird statement.
Really weird statement. You might
Just
miss
after
it on
Halloween.
Yeah. And I just read before we came on was Phil is testing a longer shaft in his driver to carry it further because he thinks Augusta's going to play softer and longer, a little more damp per se.
Yeah, they asked Tiger about that if he's ever played there in November timeframe, and he said he said that course will play extra long. So he said the one year or the one time they played it, he said he played it right around the same time it's going to be played. He said into 1 and 18 he hit driver 3-wood because
Really?
the ball does not carry. He said it's just long. So
Driver 3-wood.
He
I hope they do that. I want to see it.
That seems extreme on 18 for some reason.
That's what
I can't picture 1, but that seems extreme into 18.
18, that means you're short of the corner.
Yeah, but who knows if he was playing it all the way back. I don't know if they put the tees all the way back. I don't know, but yeah, he said he 1 and 18. I'll have to listen again, but I know 1 for sure, and I'm guessing 1 was 3-wood in because if you don't get it up on top of the hill, you're hitting 20 yards uphill at it. So I'm sure that plays into it. He said the ball just doesn't fly in November there. So
I just want to see how that course plays in the fall. I don't want to see the Masters every year in the fall, but I'm really curious to see how that course plays in the fall.
So I thought that was interesting too. We're getting on this golf topic during the press conference this week with Tiger. They asked him, about playing there with no fans, and usually you can hear the roars. And he said, "Yeah, I remember playing." I think he said he was playing with Couples in like '98, maybe, and they heard a huge roar, and he goes, "I knew that was a Nicklaus roar," which is funny talking about it, right? Because everybody now says, "I know that's a Tiger roar."
Right.
So back when he started, it was a Nicklaus roar, but now everybody knows it as a Tiger roar.
Right. All right. You guys got anything else? You want to move on to our stars?
Keep it moving.
Let's go. What do you want?
We can go stars.
All right. Who wants to start?
I can start. So my third star is Shedro Lewis, the running back from the Liberty Flames. They beat Syracuse 38-21 on Saturday. He had 10 carries for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Is Liberty a D2 school?
Oh.
No, I think they're D1 now, and they're 5 or 6-0. They're actually a very decent team. So,
Excellent.
That was more of a shot at Syracuse than anything.
I hate Syracuse sports.
So do I.
Go ahead, Kyle. I stole your stars last week, so we'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh, all right. Third star, Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega beat Korean Zombie last Saturday on Fight Island with a shaved head. We're all used to seeing Ortega with the big ponytail. He shaved it. I don't know if that was a weight cut issue or what, but either way, he shaved his head.
I think it was planned. He was donating it to that
Locks of
Love thing where they make wigs for kids. Yeah.
Probably the best I've ever seen Ortega. He got his absolute ass kicked by Holloway. Kind of went back to the drawing board. This fight's been planned for a while now, and it finally happened. Some people might not know this. There was some animosity there. Back when they had fans, Ortega and the Korean Zombie were respectful to each other, but they were in the stands, and somebody from the Korean Zombies team had talked some shit on social media. So Ortega waited for the fighter to go to the bathroom, and he went over and slapped this dude who was standing there and got kicked out. I can't remember who the fight was, who the card was that night, but that did happen. So there was some animosity there. They didn't show it, but Ortega, good win. And I think he is up to fight Volkanovski next. So
yeah,
looking forward to that fight.
My third star, we already talked about him a little bit, but Trevor Lawrence, Saturday versus Georgia Tech. I think he pretty much only played first half of the game, right? Didn't even play second half. Yeah, 24 of 33 passing, 404 yards, and 5 touchdowns in the first half. Those are first overall numbers right there.
We were golfing Saturday, and I looked at the scores, and it was like 28-7 with like 6 minutes left in the first half, and then Russ, we were sitting on the third tee, which was our 12th hole, 13th hole.
I texted Russ.
Russ goes, it's 52-7 at half. I'm like, holy shit.
I texted Russ, Clemson just scored 52 points.
Yep. That's crazy. Yep.
My second star is Mike Norvell in Florida State. Obviously, being a Florida State fan. Beat number 5 North Carolina 38-21 on Saturday. Had 2 block punts. And finally looked like they're coming alive. And I think that was a huge moment for Norvell. I think it's going to change the recruiting down there in Florida. So hopefully it turns that program around.
I have a college football question for you.
I'm ready.
I think I tweeted it earlier. How are Big Ten teams ranked and they haven't even played games?
But, right, it's the same thing as putting a ranking out before the year starts. So
yeah, but everybody else has played games.
Right, but I'm saying at the beginning of the year, before anybody even plays, they put rankings out. So
no, I understand that, but nobody in the Big Ten's played games and everybody else has.
Right, but yeah, I know what you're saying, but but it's no different than putting a ranking out before everybody even plays. Right?
But people have played. That's my point.
Well, I understand, but you know what Big Ten teams are going to be good.
Yeah.
So you're going to not rank Ohio State, and then when they beat whoever
it was more sarcasm.
Ohio State, Adam.
Sorry.
It was more of a sarcastic comment of everybody else has played, Big Ten isn't, but they're still ranked.
Yeah. I'm just glad everybody's back besides the Pac-12. I don't like the Pac-12, but yeah, for a couple more weeks till they're back.
All right, my second star of the week is Mookie Betts. Last night, game 1, 2 for 4 home run, where I feel like Mookie actually was an impact, was not the home run. The home run was after they already scored, 4 or 5 points? 4 or 5 runs, I'm sorry. Mookie Betts and the Dodgers, in my opinion, were textbook in running the bases last night. They were very aggressive. We talked about this last week. That was textbook how you win playoff baseball games. You get guys on base, you create chaos, you throw pitchers out of rhythm. Dodgers did that last night. Mookie Betts was fantastic on the bases last night. So other than the home run, he had a good game last night. So my second star is Mookie Betts.
Let me ask you guys about that real quick. Go on baseball quick. So last night, Glass now, I don't know what inning it was, the 5th inning. He had like over 100 pitches already. Dodgers had a guy in second and third. They left him out there to throw. Well, the ALCS, Morton had 65 pitches through like 5 innings and 1 hit, and they pull him out of the game. I'm like, if there was ever a time, like, I don't get that.
Is it a matchup thing with managers with lefties versus righties, or?
I don't know.
They've somewhat taken a matchup thing out of the game now because you bring a pitcher and he's got to face at least 3 hitters.
Right.
Used to be you bring a lefty specialist to match up against a lefty. He'd throw one at bat and then he'd be yanked out of there, but you can't do that anymore.
Right.
I've enjoyed watching the last couple rounds of baseball. I grew up playing baseball, and it's been exciting, but there's a lot that goes on in this modern baseball that pisses me off. And that's one of them. Yeah, you got Morton in there throwing a gem last week, and you yank him in the 5th inning. Like 20, 30 years ago, the way Morton was throwing, you'd have been debating, okay, do you let him throw the complete game, or do you let him only throw 8 and then bring your closer in?
Right.
It makes no sense to me to have a guy that's dominating. They're showing him on the TV right now. Maybe they're arguing the same thing. Why take him out when he's dominating and then hope the reliever can replicate what he's doing?
Well, how many times in the last few years have we seen pitchers get yanked who are throwing no-nos, but they take him out because of pitch count?
Yeah.
It's the same with the small ball talk. I mean, I've always been a National League guy. Like you said, the Dodgers last night, I think Mookie had the 2 stolen bases. I think they had 4 or 5 as a team.
They had a double steal at one point.
It was just fun to watch, the small ball stealing bases kind of stuff. Because Adam, I just saw you laugh. I texted you last week.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I think it was game 1 when they were tied late in the game.
Yeah.
They being the Braves and Dodgers. And I think it was the top of the 8th. Marcell Ozuna hit a double to lead off the inning. And I text Adam, and I'm like, why don't they lay down a sack bunt? Again, 10, 15 years ago, would have been automatic. Ozuna leadoff double, you sack bunt him over, and then you've got a couple chances to get him home. And it could be as simple as a sack fly. Instead, Ozuna gets the double, and I think it was Darno just grounded out to 3rd, and Ozuna still stand on 2nd.
Right. And he didn't move over. He could score on a wild pitch if he's on 3rd.
I think there's only been 1 sack bunt the entire playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that was I don't even know. I think it was Game 7 of the Astros Rays game, which is crazy because the AL never sacrifices.
Which I don't understand. Like, to me, the strategy of a sack bunt still, it doesn't matter what league you're in. But I mean, you're right. The AL never does it, but I don't know. And if anything, you got a DH in there who should be more used to handling a bat than a pitcher does. You'd think they would have just as good a chance of laying down a bunt.
Yeah, and that's what we and I always talk about this. I would much rather watch the National League just because of those decisions that have to be made. And if they move to the DH, I mean, now don't get me wrong. If they move to a full DH and the Braves sign Ozuna to a 5-year contract, I'm going to be pretty pumped about it. But at the same time, I would much rather watch a National League game where you got to manage with the pitcher.
I never understood why, because I'm not a big fan of the shift. I feel like that's
you guys are gonna have me rant my ass off here.
I hate the shift.
I
think
agree.
I wish I'd like to see more guys would get the sack to just. You want to throw the shift on me? I'm going to bunt it down the other line.
Yes, you see David Ortiz do that all the time.
Yeah.
I agree. I wish there were some rules against that. Some sort of an area where you had to stay as a defensive player.
Yeah.
Last night we already saw like half a dozen at bats where the Rays had 4 outfielders.
Yeah.
They shifted the outfield over and sent the second baseman out to right field and only had 3 guys in the infield. I don't know. It's the old school guy in me, but I'm not a fan of that either.
So, but we get free tacos next week, so.
Yeah.
Steal a taco and shit your pants after.
Jesus. Hey, whatever you want to do with it, go ahead.
Yeah. Do your own taco thing.
All right, where the hell are we at?
Second star.
For me? All right, we'll keep it on baseball. I'm going to give a shout out to both the American and National League Championship Series MVPs. So in the AL, it was Randy Arozarena, a guy who prior to 3 weeks ago, I had no clue who he was. He became the first rookie position player to win a league championship series MVP. He hit 321 against the Astros with 4 home runs, and he's kind of been a breath of fresh air, just a ball of energy out there. It's fun to watch. And in the NL, Corey Seager ripped it up pretty good in that series. He hit 310, 5 home runs, 2 doubles, 11 ribbies, and 9 runs scored in the 7 games. So it's pretty good series for Seager. That Dodger offense, once they wake up, and I think Tampa's, it's 3-0 Tampa right now in this game, but
Dodgers
once that offense gets
up last night to the 5th inning. So
yeah, once that offense wakes up, man, they're tough to stop. So my second star is the MVPs.
My first star is the founding member and still president of the NHL Pronunciation Guide. He has won 8 Emmys as a broadcaster, 7 straight. Doc Emmerich, who retired this week, almost 50 years of announcing games. So congrats to him.
He's definitely one of the best to do it.
My first star of the week is the man who pushed us over the edge big time on DraftKings, Derrick Henry, with over 200 yards this week and a couple touchdowns. Thank you, Mr. Henry. My bank account just got bigger because of you.
And my first star of the week, I'll keep it short because you already named him, was Mookie Betts, mainly for his performance in Game 1 last night. Defensively, he shined in the series against the Braves. I texted Adam saying, man, if you're a Red Sox fan watching this, you got to be puking a little bit. Yeah. I don't know why they got rid of him.
28-year-old in his prime.
Yeah. So Mookie Betts tearing it up.
All right, buddy. It's dud time.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad because I had one, but we really we already beat the horse. My dud of the week was the NFC East as a whole. I mean, I don't think I've ever looked at standings in NFL football this far in and have seen this many 1 and 5s and 2 and 4. I mean, will this be the first season we ever see a team make it to the playoffs with 4 wins? Because I saw earlier today that no one's ever made it with four wins.
No, I don't know. I don't think 4.
I think they have too many divisional games left for that to happen. It'd be tough.
I'd throw $5 on it.
It's
what are the odds?
It never seems to stop amazing me, whether it's good or bad. So
yeah,
I know we definitely. But they got to be the dud of the week. It's just they're the dud of the season so far. What the hell?
Yeah. No, you're right. We did talk about it quite a bit, but no, that's a good one. That's a good.
I even saw articles about whether or not the NFC East should be disbanded and absorbed by the other division.
That's a good dud.
I'm not talking about one. I'm talking about Google.
So I also have a dud this week, and I actually texted it to Taylor, and he disagreed with my dud. My dud this week is John Wall, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to see this, but John Wall was doing an interview with somebody from ESPN, one of the shows, and I understand where Taylor's like, oh, that's BDE right there, like whatever you want to call it, but I thought it was an asshole move by John Wall. You can't you agree to do an interview and it's over Zoom, over Skype, whatever. You can't take 15 minutes out of your day to do it. The guy was playing cards with friends at his table in the middle of the interview. And at one point the guy asked him a question and he was like talking to other people. And he's like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? It was just a very asshole thing to say. And in my opinion right now, he's an example of why the NBA is just going downhill. Ratings were unbelievably low for the ratings were so low for the finals. It wasn't even funny. So
it's because LeBron played.
That is. So my dud, John Wall. My dud.
Dude, that was something I saw is that so that Game 7 of the NLCS had 9.9 million viewers or whatever, and it was even I think games 4 through 7 of the NLCS were all higher viewership than any of the finals games.
I believe it.
Which is crazy, and that's just the NLCS. That's not even the World Series.
Yep. What's sad for the NBA too is I feel like Adam Silver might be one of the better commissioners in all of these sports organizations.
Yep.
But he's got some of the worst players as far as citing examples, in my opinion. Attitudes are terrible.
He's by far the best of the 4 major. We had that debate with some of my friends the other day. He's by far, without the doubt, probably the best commissioner there is right now.
I might throw the PGA Tour commissioner either with him or above him, but
we're going the major four of the major four. He's by far the best.
You just knock golf off the pedestal, Adam.
Well, they're not the major four sports, so.
No,
according to the ratings, they are.
that's true.
Well, that'd be major.
He's got a point. He's got a point.
That's major five, then, not major four.
All right, gentlemen, if you don't have anything else, that's it for episode 35. Be sure to check us out on 3starrecruits.com. Check out the other podcast, DFS Units, weekly in the mornings. My picks tonight, not looking so hot, but we got plenty of time to turn that around. So yeah, go check it out. Check out the website, and I'll see you guys next week.